better shine my eye, got the devil sitting on my shoulder. Cause these streets, they are getting colder. Enemies, they are getting bolder. Enemies, they might get told.
Yo, you serious? Is this what we're doing? So now apparently we've got a white Nigerian who does Afrobeats. Well, I'll tell you what, this is Roots and Reason, and we talk about all things Africa. So I'll tell you what, let's talk about it.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Okay, so let's talk about it. There is a Manchester-based artist called Luca Zuccotti. Now, Luca is a little bit different because Luca is obviously coming from Manchester, but he sings Afro beats in a Nigerian accent. Now, as you've guessed it from the name, Luca Zuccotti, he's not black. He's actually white, right? And so I wanted to have a little bit of discussion about this because Luca posted his latest song, the one that I played at the beginning, Colder, and it's gone viral on social media and everyone's talking about it. On one side, you have a number of different people who are defending it, saying, you know what, this is great, this is amazing for Afrobeats, it's exactly what Afrobeats needs. And then on the other side, you have other people who are saying, you know what, this is cultural appropriation. And so there is no business for a British-based white artist from Manchester to sing Afrobeats, especially in a Nigerian accent. And so this song has gone viral all over social media and everybody's talking about it. And I thought, you know what, here at Roots and Reason, we don't shy away from any topics. And especially when it's things to do with our continent, we're going to talk about it. So I wanted to talk about this, particularly if you have white artists singing what are African genres, right? And so African genres extend far beyond Afrobeats. You have multiple genres up and down the continent, but obviously some of the most popular ones is going to be Afrobeats, is going to be Amapiano, and there's a few others as well. So Luca's gone viral, but the question is it right for him to have gone viral? Now, there's a few different points that I want to look at. Okay, so the first point that I want to talk about is this point of cultural respect and authenticity. Now, Luca's singing in a Nigerian accent, right? And I'm saying Nigerian because it's I'll be honest, as an outsider in, someone closer to the culture might be able to tell whether it's more an Igbo or Yoruba accent, if it's one of the more mainstream accents. But the point here being that he has deliberately chosen to go down this lane and to sing in an accent that traces itself back to Nigeria, right? And so there's a question of cultural respect and appropriation. Is he doing it with the idea of paying respect to the culture? Obviously, I don't know. And there's probably a few other songs that Luca has sang in with the same accent. But it's really important for us to recognize this point because it's a very, very valid one. There's been artists who have associated themselves with Afrobeats in the past. Not to name but a few. There's Justin Bieber, who sang with Wizkid. There's Ed Sheeran, who sang with Fireboy DML. And so there's been a white artist singing on an Afrobeats song. Luca's not the first to do it, basically. And so it's important because if we look at if his intention is to pay respect to the culture, then absolutely, all right? If it's authentic and it's been done in a way that pays homage to Nigerian artists and to the Nigerian wider culture, then, power to him as well. Now, the second point that I wanted to make is about obviously collaboration, because from what I hear and from the little bit of reading that I've done is that Luca's producers are Nigerian. And so they're the ones who have put him on game about being able to sing in a Nigerian accent and sing Afro beats. And so by the sounds of it, Luca is plugged in directly with people who can bring him up to speed, can show him the ropes and show him what to do and what not to do. Now, if he's doing it with the intention of collaborating with the desire of highlighting Nigerian artists, then absolutely, you can see why this would kind of make sense. And so that's my point number 2. Point number 3, I think it's also important to talk about Luca's intent, right? And whether he's really singing with the perspective of showing love to the culture. Now, there's a couple of points here, and I'm leaving question marks and I'm leaving this open-ended just purely because unless Luca comes out and speaks on it, we can't really draw conclusions. But if his intention is to express love for the culture, if his desire is to express love for Afrobeats, then one could argue that him being able to sing in a Nigerian accent in the Afrobeats genre is one that makes his point valid and one that validates him as an artist, as an Afrobeats artist. And so that's kind of the position that people would look at, or those are some of the points that people would think about with regards to Luca, and particularly supporting Luca as he's singing his Afrobeat songs. And so now, on the other side, there are people who would say there have been artists who have aligned themselves with Afrobeats in the past purely as a way of getting their name up. One of the most common examples that comes up is Post Malone. Now, Post Malone, if you know about Post Malone, you know that for a while he was affiliated with a lot of black music or black originating music. And not too far down the line, he ended up aligning himself with more country. And so he sings country-based music. And so Post Malone is widely accused of being a culture vulture. And so people who are concerned with safeguarding the culture are looking at this instance of Luca aligning himself with Afrobeats and wondering, is his intent to get his name up more so than lifting up the culture and basically becoming a culture vulture, right? And so this is an argument that we have to look at, right? And this is an argument that, in my opinion, holds validity because there have been African artists in the past, particularly, or rather, artists who have sang African genres in the hopes of getting their name up. What we have is someone who isn't part of the culture, someone who is very much an outsider to the culture, immersing themselves into the culture. Now, the point that I wanted to make here, and this is a point that I personally feel, and a perspective that I personally hold, is that African stories deserve to be told by African people. Now, our stories are shared within our music, and our music isn't just entertainment, right? Our music is educational. Our music is inspirational. Our music is a revolutionary, much like Black American music is. So, for example, you have it with jazz, with hip hop, with R&B, with rock music. Our music very much has an intention behind it. It tells our story. It tells our struggle. Now, the issue that I've got with having a white Afrobeats artist who comes from Manchester or comes from Britain is because they can't relate with our story. They are not part of our story. And so what is it about them that they could feel comfortable enough to step into our genre and tell our story? For me, there's a little bit of a mismatch there. I genuinely think that African music reflects African stories, and only African stories can be told by African people. Now, the beauty of it is that the African family is massive, it's big. It's not just people who trace themselves back to the continent directly. It's also people who are in the diaspora. We've got our African American brothers. We have our Afro-Brazilian brothers. We have our Afro-Portuguese brothers. We have African family up and down the world, right? And so the beauty of it is that as long as you are African, you can tell our story. But it's a completely different thing if you have someone from outside the culture coming in to tell our story. It's almost as if someone comes into your house and tells you what's in your house and tells a story of what's happening in your house as an outsider. It just doesn't make sense. And so for me personally, this is my own personal opinion. I personally don't like the idea. I personally don't think it's a good thing to do. However, there are people who like it. There are people who think that it shines a light on Afrobeats artists. So be it, right? This is a game of opinions. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. My opinion isn't more valid than yours. Your opinion isn't more valid than mine. But that's kind of my perspective on it. What do you guys think? Do you think that having Luca Zuccotti, a white non-Nigerian Afrobeats artist doing Nigerian music, do you think that's a plus? Do you think that helps? Obviously, from a business standpoint, it's great for him because he goes viral. Everyone's talking about it. I'm on this platform talking about it. It's amazing for him. But if we're having the kind of conversations that revolve around our culture and gatekeeping our stories and gatekeeping our narrative, are we missing the boat here? Is there a problem? Now, I don't want to take it there, but is there an angle to do with colonialism as well? Because when you think about the colonialists, when the colonialists came into the continent, they devalued everything about African life and society. They devalued our languages. They devalued our food. They devalued our art. They devalued our music. Every single part of the African existence wasn't seen as being on par with the counterparts in Europe, right? But decades later, a lot of artists have gone and grinded and given their very best in order to make this genre, in order to make many other genres. And so, should it be that we just allow white people who have previously had a history of devaluing our art forms to allow them back into our same art forms and allow them to thrive and to have a voice? I don't know. What do you guys think? Obviously, whatever you think, your opinion, let's share it down in the comments. I'll do my best to respond as well. But I think this is a really interesting discussion. We're going to continue the discussion also on socials. I'm on social media. You can find me on @RootsAndReason. On X, you can find me obviously here. This is my YouTube channel. I'm going to be starting a TikTok soon. So keep tuned for all of those details, but let's keep the conversation going. I find this one really, really interesting. And we're going to be picking up on different things like this. So shout out to you guys. Please like, share, subscribe, and let's continue the discussion. Peace.